What's up? What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Noob by here, and I'm here to give you guys some pro tips on HDTV settings for gaming. Not just only gaming though, TV shows, movies, but mostly I'll be talking about gaming, So the reason why I decided to make this video is because I know a lot of people out there do not got their TVs calibrated correctly, and when they play certain games, you're not looking at what your game is supposed to be showing you. The game is trying to show you one thing, but your TV is calibrated to another thing, and you're thinking that this game looks horrible because your TV is not set correctly. To give an example, let's say you got Battlefield 3. You got a top-of-the-line gaming PC with 5 or 4 high-end graphics cards, Crossfire Together or SLI, and you got 14 gigs of RAM, 5.5 gigahertz processor, 4 cores. Fuck it, let's say 6 cores, and you got a horrible PC screen, and not just a horrible PC screen, you got it calibrated incorrectly. It's like horrible, the color is off, the contrast is super off, the brightness is set way too high. So when you play Battlefield 3, that's supposed to have ultra realistic physics and visuals and stuff like that, and particle effects and everything. You're not gonna really see all that. It's not gonna look real. It's not gonna look that sexy because your TV screen is not calibrated correctly. So with that said, I'm here to talk to you guys about that. Now, I'm not a tech genius or anything like that. I do learn ultra quickly, pick things up fast. And, with TVs, that's one of my strong points of one of the things as far as tech I'm good at, messing around with and tinkering with the settings and stuff like that and make something look sexy that's just supposed to look good. But with that said, I'm start off with the foundation of what you should do to get your gaming experience more better. First of all, if you're using a standard definition TV, if your TV says HDTV, throw that shit in the trash. Now, these days and age, you should be having an HDTV. If you don't got an HDTV, you're only getting 30% of what stuff is delivering these days. Now, I understand if you're like 13, 12, 14, 15, maybe even 16, 17, you're like, well, I don't got money, I don't got a job like that. And if I do got a job and, I don't got money enough to buy HDTV, ask your parents for one for Christmas. A little small 19-inch TV, a little small flat screen 19-inch TV, probably run you around $150, especially Black Friday coming up around the corner. Ask your parents, hey, even if it's 720p, you don't need 1080p, especially if you're transitioning from a standard definition TV to an HD TV. And I know still a lot of skeptics out there like, well, I don't need HD TV, the game. Why I need HD TV to game for? I've been gaming on standard definition TV for the longest, and I'm hella good at what I do on standard definition. Why I need HD for? Well, you'll be great at what you do. Your experience will change. It's not just about graphics when it comes to HD TV. It's gonna make your graphics look better, but it's about, you can see more. It's widescreen. The details in the background, the motion of you moving and stuff like that, it's not blurry anymore from the standard definition TV. The pixels are so slow on the I can say that fast. Standard definition TV, that you're not picking up the detail, the refresh rate, the millisecond response time is slow. So it messes up your game experience. Actually, if you're so used to it, it's not messing up your game experience. It's making your game experience just regular. But once you go on to something that's better, you realize that, wow, how the fuck did I even deal with that? That's what you start to think. So with that said, that's the first thing you want to do. Get something that's 720p if it's your first time upgrading. Just a small little screen. Don't get a PC monitor, especially if you got a console. PC monitor that has no picture settings and a pre-installed picture settings that's on there that you cannot change looks fucking horrible. The brightness is horrible. No good blacks whatsoever. The color, oh my god, I'm not gonna talk about the color. The color looks like somebody just put it in their mouth and chewed it up and then spit it out. Looks all chewed up and just ghosty and like somebody just took the color from out the screen and threw it inside the wash machine, washed it on hot, and put it inside the dryer and dried it on high, without no fabric fresheners or softeners inside there or nothing. Then it's all come out all ashy and shit. No, do not get a PC monitor, even if you're gaming on PC. If you want that high, millisecond refresh rate and millisecond response time is the same shit almost, but pretty much. But if you do Twitch gaming, yeah, they'll get a PC that got 1 millisecond response time or something like that. You get a PC monitor. But if you want something that's it's going to complement what the developers put into their game, get a small TV screen, a flat screen TV screen, like a small screen. That's what I've been using for the longest, and they look gorgeous. You can set all kind of settings, all kind of settings, to calibrate to your likings, and the screen and the game likings and stuff like that. I'm gonna go through some settings that you should have set correctly to make your TVs look great. Brightness, I used to think that brightness was just the brightness of the screen, or how bright the screen is, how dark the screen is. No, brightness has something to do with black, black tones or whatever. The darker you set the brightness, the darker the black tone is going to be. You set it too dark, the detail within the black areas, you're not going to see it if you set it too dark. So that's why when you get a test pattern on the screen, it has white and then white, and it keep getting darker and darker. And if you don't see those the gray and a darker gray and a little more darker gray and a kind of dark black, if you don't see those, if you just see nothing but just black, you mean you got your brightness set too low. Too low, But the brightness is the main thing, 'cause that's what makes your game look sexy too. Those black tones, you got those black tones set right, and all those blacks just look just dark, and oh man, it makes everything pop. Contrast is kind of hard to explain. Contrast, it got something to do with how can I explain it? Mainly it will affect your whites. How accurate your whites look. Set it too high, it's gonna look just too horrible. Contrast is kind of hard to explain. I gotta show you contrast literally in person. I won't be doing that inside this in particular video, but maybe inside a separate video if a lot of people request it, or if I decide to do it. Sharpness, I used to jack my sharpness all the way up because I was so used to standard definition TVs and hate how blurry it looks. I used to like how sharpness look when it's all the way up, not realizing that I'm getting super jagged edges by having my sharpness too high. You always want to have your sharpness in the middle, or mostly 5 to 10 notches up, depending on how your TV works. If your TV goes from 0 to 10, set it like 3 notches up or 2 notches up past 5, excuse me, damn. So sharpness, you don't want to have it up too high. Depending on what you're watching, you may want to have it up too high. But if you're watching movies and stuff like that, you really don't want to have it up too high. Especially TV shows, you most definitely don't want to have it up too high. A lot of TV shows, each TV show varies. Especially if you're watching HD channels, they vary on how they're recorded and produced within their network and stuff like that. But back to gaming, you really don't want to have sharpness too high. You see all these little pixelated edges and stuff like that. Noise reduction, you always want to have that off. If you have that on, that means basically if you're getting these pixelated artifacts around the images and stuff like that you're looking at on the screen, you want to have noise reduction on. But if you're not getting no pixelated artifacts and stuff that's around the edges, like what I'm talking about, like film grain around the edges of little images and stuff like that, if you're not getting that, turn noise reduction off, because if you could turn it on, what it does is smooths out the picture. It makes it like more dull instead of sharp, to get rid of those pixelated, those film grain edges and stuff like that. So, if you got noise reduction on and you turn that off, you just see a big difference in the detail in your picture. Motion flow. I know a lot of people may not have this. If you have 120 hertz TV and higher, then you will have motion flow. If you got a 60 hertz TV, then it's not going to work. Motion flow, or you're not going to have the setting. Motion flow is basically the smoothness of the motion, delivering at 120 hertz refresh rate. The screen is refreshing 120 times, and depending on what game you play, it could make or break you if you got it on. Some games, if you're playing single player, everything looks like everything is like moving way smoother, and everything is like makes the action more hectic when you got motion flow on and you got smooth on and stuff like that. But when you play certain games, like I noticed with Gears of War, when I got motion flow on, smoothness on, everything moves too quick. Even though everything is moving at the same speed as a person that got a 60 hertz TV compared to my 240 hertz TV, still the screen is refreshing so many freaking times. Like it's like refreshing the picture so many times and delivering me so much of a smooth image that it's like I'm moving super fast, even though I'm not. Like it's kind of weird to explain. And you guys that's running on a standard 60 hertz TV, which a lot of HDTV still support, you're not realizing that your screen is only refreshing 60 times, and then when it does, you're missing some frames. It's kind of like taking, like if you ever took like a little notepad, like a sticky notepad, and drew on it, like drew a lot of different images, like a stick figure image, and then flipped it like that, so the images can like make like a little movement or something. Let's say I got 120 of those, and I drew like a picture on all 120 of those, and then I flipped it, and then everything like the stick figure is like moving and stuff as I flip through it. A flip book. I don't know what those things. I think it's called a flip book or whatever. And then let's say you got your flip book. You drew the same images, but you skip every other image that I put inside mine, and you only put 60 inside yours. You know, it's still gonna look smooth, but mine's gonna look super smooth. I got those extra stickies inside there compared to your 60. I got 120, and then instead of somebody 120, this person may have 240. So his stuff is gonna look super smoother because he got more stickies inside his, making this image more smoother. You know, you don't really notice how smooth it is until you go back to a 60 hertz TV and be like, damn, this shit kind of like blurry a little bit. You know. So yeah, motion flow and refresh and like 120 hertz refresh rate and 240 hertz refresh rate. Those are like play a main thing inside this stuff. You know, black tones. A lot of TV don't have this. You know, black tone correction. You know, it sets your black tones. Like if you got your black tones set too high, or you know, the TV detects your black tones and it set it accordingly. You know, if it noticed that your black tones are too dark and it don't notice no images in the background and stuff within those black tones, it'll like, you know, adjust it a little bit accordingly. You know, you can set that to low, medium, or high. My TV has that where it can set it to low, medium, or high to detect my black tones and, you know, adjust my black tones, and I like that setting. It's sexy. Color temperature. You know, I always keep mine neutral. A lot of people say, oh, it's good to have it cool. A lot of people say, oh, it's good to have it warm. But I notice that it messes up my color the way I like my color, so I keep it neutral. Color. Since we're on color, color is hard to set. You know, a lot of people think you can see, and you set the right color and stuff like that, and you know, which ties into white balance also. You're like, man, I'm looking at the TV screen, I know what looks like blue, I know what looks like red, but at the same time you could have color off just by a little bit, and then, you know, by having color and contrast not meeting up to match the image and make the image look good, you know, you may not be noticing it for so many years until somebody come in and calibrate your TV. You be like, damn, this fucking game look way better. What the hell did you do? I adjust your color and contrast, and you know, there it is. So yeah, last but not least, backlit. You know, backlit. You know, if you got a room where it got a lot of light inside of it, you know, you may want to cut your brightness. It's kind of like a cell phone. You know how you have a cell phone where it's automatic? You got it set to automatic to where when you go outside, the phone gets bright, and then when you go inside, it gets dark. Most TVs have a sensor where it detects that. I don't like using it because it don't really detect light that much. My screen stays black, too dark. You know, backlit is just how bright the light is that's producing the image. You know, how bright the backlit is. You know, the backlight is. You know. It's kind of like those old school lights where you can slide up the bar up and down and make the lights brighter and darker, you know, like a ceiling fan light or something. It's kind of like that, you know, make it dark. It's always good to have it in between. You know, you want to have it too bright, because if you have it too bright, even though you got your brightness set correctly and everything else set correctly, that might throw all your settings off all at once just by having it too bright or having it too dark. So like leave it like in between or 2 notches up. So with that said, that's just a little quickie right there. No, not really a quickie. It was like 11 or 12 minutes. But hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys watched the whole thing, because, you know, it's worth watching. Once you set your TVs correctly, you know, you're going to see a big-ass difference. So with that said, it's been your boy Noob Side about the Universal Gamer, and I'm out.